Hello YouTube, my name is Joe. I'm a husband of one and a father of five. I work as a high school shop teacher. And today, we're going to talk about my pond. We are in October of 2024 today, right? And so I am going to give you my summer of 2024 pond review. I'd like to talk about the constants. I'd like to talk about the good. I'd like to talk about the bad, and give you my reviews of all the things that I've used in this pond, and give you my thoughts and basically how I'm planning on proceeding headed into 2025, right? Just a couple more months of this. So here we go. You ready? So constant. The constant is my family loves the pond. My kids are in this pond almost daily. During the summer months, starting in May, as soon as it gets warm enough, they're in the pond, twice a day. The big guy gets home from work. It's 9:30. He goes and dives in, cools off. Middle of the day, we come out here. People come over, join us. At one time, we had about 20 different kids swimming in this pond, and it was so much fun. That is a constant. Another constant is that aerator is running nonstop. That is a high blow. I believe it's a 1,000 or 1,100 long life. I will put a link in the description somewhere. But that pond pump, it's been running for 4 years straight. Actually 4 years, the end of July straight. And I can't tell you, as I did little review videos over it, people would say, well, don't run it all the time. Don't run it all the time. Don't run it all the time. Run it at night. Run it this time. Run it this time. I ran this thing 100% of the time, except for about 6 weeks during winter, when it starts to dip below 30 degrees. And usually we have a 4 to 6 week window where we're frozen here in Michigan. I unplug it and shut it off, let the ice cap over. Besides that, I run it. If it's 95 degrees out, I run it. And I bought that kit through Septic Solutions. I will put a link in there. That is not an affiliate link. I've just been very impressed with the product. And it was just put together, kitted very well. And I was just happy. It was the right move. I'll also link that pump kit. But that has been a constant. Someday it's going to stop pumping. What else I like about those high blows is you can rebuild them. You can just buy the parts, the diaphragms, rebuild them. Away you go, right? You don't have to completely rebuild the kit. So that has been a constant. The other constant is I just like having a pond. If you have a pond, you understand. There's wildlife, there's ducks that show up, neighbors' ducks that show up, geese will come in, the fish, kids love to come down and fish. I don't love it when they come down and skip stones, but they still will from time to time. And you know, the kids got a little RC boat, they'll run that RC boat around. Just fun, just fun. So let's talk about this summer. So I started back in April. We're driving to Florida for a little spring break trip. I'm doing research. I've been doing research most of the winter. And then the past, it was me, Uncle Google, and Amazon basically trying to figure out how to treat the pond. Put that aerator in July of 2020. And I started adding dye. I started figuring out how to kill off the water meal and duckweed. I started figuring out it needs bacteria, and really the pond would look pretty good until about mid to end of June. Water temperatures would rise and the whole pond would get covered in a biofilm and just a thick gooky layer. I shouldn't say thick. You could splash it to the side and it would go away, but it was an oily layer. I tried everything from oil absorbing mats floating around on the pond. Anything I could come up with, anything that my Google search would find, and they all were flops, absolute flops. And I just kept thinking, maybe next summer, maybe next summer. And comments always came on the different videos. Well, try barley, try this, try that, try this. You ever tried to buy barley straw? I can't find it anywhere. So anyhow, I am headed to Florida, doing research, and came across a company called Natural Waterscapes. Started researching, reading their website, loaded with information. Okay. So me being the YouTuber, right? Me being the guy looking for the deal, I reached out, asked some questions. What is the best move? What is the best product? And they basically said, hey, would you like to do a water test for us and make a video out of it? And so that's what we did. They signed me up for the little affiliate team, sent me a water test kit. We did that water test kit. I got the results back. I think it was about 10 days. And they just got emailed to me. I read through them probably 3 or 4 times, trying to figure out what everything meant. All the terms, definitions were there. Basically the heavy loads on the pond were there. Okay, I started to understand. And then I got an email basically saying, hey, when you got questions, reach out to one of our technicians. So I gave the technician a call. And I've talked about this in our videos, so if it feels like a repeat, it definitely is. Talked to them, asked lots of questions. They walked me through what they thought would be the best short-term plan, the best long-term plan. Me being the educator and really the career-oriented guy. Did you go to college for this? How did you get trained? They talked about professional development. They talked about their trainings. I quickly understood that they are experts and I am not. So basically the ball was in my court. Was I going to start spending money to treat the pond, or was I going to look at another summer of trying to figure it out? So I put a lot of trust in Natural Waterscapes, and I put a lot of my money into Natural Waterscapes. So I bought a half-acre maintenance kit, and inside that half-acre maintenance kit, there's basically 4 items that come to you. The first one is pond dye, and that one makes sense. All pond dye does is it keeps sunlight from hitting the floor of the pond and causing vegetation to grow, weeds to grow, unsightly things to grow. It's like sunglasses. It's a shade cloth, right? It keeps that water temperature from rising up quickly. And so limits growth, limits algae growth. Good thing. The second thing that this kit has is it has a muck reducer, little tablets of bacteria. You throw them out along the edge of the pond, and that will help reduce the muck. That made sense. I don't quite understand how that works, but it made sense. The next product in this kit was Pond Cleanse. Basically, it's packets of bacteria come in a little water-soluble pouch, and you just toss them out. I tried to toss them out in the middle so that as they would get moved around with that aerator, and it would just disperse. And all it does is it balances out that water bacteria. It keeps the water super clean. And then the last one that I just didn't understand was phosphate eliminator. What the phosphate eliminator does is basically it binds the phosphate and allows it to sink to the bottom of the pond. I didn't quite understand what was going on here. Why do I need this phosphate eliminator? Basically, phosphate is one of the driving forces to algae. And so I have a garden that's up the hill. I have a chicken coop right there, chicken run, that's up the hill. I have grasses, and then it slopes down towards the pond. And basically, after we would have rains and heavy rains, I would see algae grow. And that's because I had a high level of phosphate. And so I could bind that. Okay. And so I just paid the money, bought the product. I stayed routine. Every 2 weeks, within a couple days, right? Every 2 weeks, I would add that half a quart of dye. I would add the 4 scoops of phosphate eliminator. I would add the 4 packets of pond cleanse. And yes, it is not cheap to put all these things in, but my pond has never looked better in its life. You see packets, you see little spots of algae out there. Without a doubt, the algae is just in a spot that I don't understand. Most people don't understand it completely. But the water is great. I never got an oily film on it once. You look at the water and it's dyed, but you could see your hand down 6 inches underneath the water. The water looked great all summer. I actually see spots along the edges. It's actually getting kind of dark out right now, but I can actually see spots along the edges of the pond where you see bits of sand again. You see bits of clay. Oh, there's a rock. You see those spots where it's not just black muck. So we had growth. We had a lot of growth. And here we are in October. And usually lower water temperatures create a more visible, stunning pond. I'm not swimming in that pond anymore. It's cold. But what I know is the pond's still alive. So I am just continuing to use this treatment. A lot of bacteria and a lot of treatments say 60 degrees. Their product says, all the way down to like 38 degrees. And in a little bit, I'm going to start switching over to more of a cold water pond bacteria that's going to continue to work on the pond, keeping the water in good shape, chewing up leaves, all that sort of stuff. So good, absolutely good. I've walked away from this summer knowing that this company makes a quality product. Bad. It's not cheap. It is not cheap. And I would say that if you dug a pond in a sandy environment, you're going to need a lot less product. I dug this in an old pond bottom that we dug out 9 feet of peat moss and muck, and we got down to the sand, and all that stuff is up here along a berm. And so I'm sure that when it rains, a lot of that gets washed in. Another bad. I had to physically do the work every 2 weeks. I had to mix up the little bit of phosphate eliminator. I had to come down and I had to do the work. Somebody could probably do it for me, but I knew that I needed to be engaged. And so goods and bads. Another bad. Not everything's perfect. The weather's not perfect. Your conditions are not perfect. It was towards the middle of July, and all of a sudden we had a ton of algae come on. It just ballooned. So I reached out to Jesse, the technician I've been working with before. He's like, so what's the weather doing in Michigan? I'm like, you know what? We have had just 4 inches of rain in this past month. And he said, it's running off. You're picking up nutrients from your garden, from your chicken run, from the side of your hill, from grass clippings. Double down on that phosphate eliminator. Bind up that phosphate, and sure enough, started doing that. It fixed it. And so the bad is it's not always perfect, and you have to adjust a little bit. Constant goods, bads. Let's talk future, right? I get to about this spot of this summer, and really we're in the fall, and the pond has reduced, and I start thinking, maybe I should get a machine in here now. I'm going to tell you that I need to plan ahead next summer, because trying to get a machine in here now is near impossible because every excavator around is busy trying to get projects done before winter, right? So I don't have the ability to call somebody and say, hey, can you get out here this week? Hey, you got any time this weekend? I've looked at pricing out equipment, and honestly, by the time you rent equipment, you're about 10% of the way there to purchasing it, right? And so that's not in the cards. Buying a mini excavator is not happening. I dream about it often, but it's not gonna happen. And so what I need to do is I need to plan ahead, and maybe just schedule somebody for October. Either that or I need to grab a shovel and get to work, right? So that's in the future. I've even considered coming along during the summer and pumping down and then digging during that hot part of the summer. I don't know. But I thought that I wanted to share this. It's kind of lengthy. It's just me talking, giving you my review, my thoughts, and I told you that I would. And I've got to say, just this past week, I ordered another half-acre kit so that I can continue treating this until it gets cold, and then treating it out of that cold, making sure that I'm adding that dye constantly, adding bacteria as constant as I can, and hopefully balance this thing out so it's a nice maintenance level, right? And so, sorry it's lengthy, but that's what you get when you come to listen to me. So sorry. But yeah, it's getting late. The screen's kind of adjusting its lighting for the sun going down, but the pond has done a wonderful job this summer, and we're going to continue. If I get an excavator out here, I will share that footage with you, and I will be coming back in a little bit and talking about my winter maintenance plan. So thanks for joining me. My name is Joe. Bye.